Hey patrons, how's it going? Today is December 10th. I thought I would make a Coffee Talk number 6 video here. I thought I would continue with this emails from a ninja book that I wrote. And today I'm going to be doing, chapter 1, email number 5. And that was from February 14th, 2011. Okay, let me see here. What do I have? So, as I said previously, with these ebooks, I'm looking at an ebook. So, ebooks don't necessarily have page numbers; they have place numbers. So that's why I'm just saying, chapter 1, email 5, and then the date, February 14th, 2011. Okay, so it's been a little bit since I did the last one. I thought I would do another one today. Okay, here's the email. Dear Larry, I am glad to hear that the box I sent arrived yesterday. I thought I would surprise you guys by sending your favorite chocolates from your friend's cake shop. I do not know how your friend, the pastry chef, is able to find the time to run his business making cakes each day and then to make original chocolates for Valentine's each year. I did not even have to guess at what to buy. He asked if I was buying for you. When I said yes, he already knew what you liked and was preparing to put them into boxes. He is quite a shy fellow, but I can tell he is passionate about what he does. Just as you said, he was worried that the ingredients he had used were all wrong and that his chocolates were probably not fit to eat. As I do every year for Valentine's Day, I gave my wife some chocolates and told her, I love you. She replied with her usual displeasure, as she doesn't like me saying how I feel. I would like to think that most wives would enjoy having their husbands tell them how much they love them, but my wife is not one of those women. I imagine that she will reciprocate on March 14th, White Day, with a box of Giri Choco, which are chocolates given because one feels an obligation to do so rather than wanting to. And then the matter will be settled in her mind. I even got up early to make breakfast for us, but was scolded for making the tea too strong. Now I understand why Cupid has a bow and arrow, to deal with unappreciative loved ones. Ha ha, just kidding. I know your wife appreciates the things you do for her because she often tells me in her emails. I guess I did a good job of raising her, but her sister is another story and seems to resemble my wife. Well, 1 out of 2 is better than none. It's funny how some people's character appears at a young age and then never changes, no matter what environment is provided. Then again, self-examination is a difficult and sometimes painful process, and most people seem content to stay the way they are, rather than make themselves a better person. The ones who refuse to change are also the ones that blame everyone else for their situation in life, as they are too lazy and scared to dig down and find out what kind of person they really are. If they only realized that enlightenment is just around the corner, they might be persuaded to accept their current situation as their own making and then begin to change things for the better. You cannot imagine how many times I have tried to educate your wife's sister about her behavior and how it negatively affects so many people around her. Each time the conversation turns to her screaming and then eventually crying because, quote, I cannot accept her, unquote, for who she is. I do not think anyone can accept her behavior, but, as you know, Japanese do not like to confront someone to tell them they need to change. That is one reason our country is facing many societal problems these days. My apologies for this Valentine's email starting out happy and then turning negative. Possibly, feelings of love dredge up feelings that are on the opposite side of the spectrum. Enjoy your chocolates and have a glass of wine for me. Take care, your father. Okay, so let's let me go back and explain a few things here. There's quite a lot of information here, actually. So in the beginning, he's talking about going to this cake shop, my friend's cake shop. Cake shop is called Tomo. I don't know what they intend the meaning to be with that name Tomo, but usually Tomo in Japanese means friend. So that's kind of a fitting name. It's a very nice cake shop. It's kind of one of these places, if you drove by, you wouldn't even notice it's there. You know, it's been there for a long time. The cakes are fantastic. The chocolates are amazing. They're out of this world. And this guy, excuse me, this guy, maybe I've talked about him before in videos, I can't remember. He had a regular 9-to-5 job, was frustrated with it. It wasn't what he wanted to do. It was stressful. He always wanted to be a pastry chef. So he quit his job, went to Germany and studied how to become a pastry chef for several years. Came back to Japan, opened up his own shop. And he makes fantastic cakes, just fantastic. And he also makes chocolates. And this guy makes everything from scratch. Like, I love chocolate-covered cherries. Unfortunately, I cannot get chocolate-covered cherries in Japan. They just don't sell them. They're not popular. However, this guy makes chocolate-covered cherries, and he puts something like a brandy, something like brandy. Maybe he uses brandy, but it seems to me it's something similar. He puts brandy inside of them, and what you do is you make it in into a paste. So you have the cherries, and then you surround them with this paste with brandy in it. And then you dip that in chocolate. And then as time goes on, like a few weeks, I think it takes 2 or 3 weeks, that brandy mixture that was kind of hard, that all melts and becomes a liquid. So when you bite into it, then you feel all that alcohol, right? That brandy there. So my friend is so serious about what he does. Now I say friend. I've been going to his cake shop for probably close to 20 years. This might be the 20th year I've gone there. Or at least the 19th year I've gone there. Well, in 2020, it'll be 20 years. Yeah, exactly. So, so I've been like a customer going there sometimes once a week. And when I lived in Malaysia, of course, for 7 years, I wasn't going there. However, my father-in-law, as in this email, mentions, he was sending me chocolates and chocolates from this guy. And also Christmas cake, this German cake, Stollen. Yeah, this guy makes that also. And so my father-in-law would send that to me. So pretty awesome. And now that I'm back in Japan, I go there sometimes once a week. And it's really funny because it's run, the guy, the pastry chef, and then his wife, they do it together. And the wife is the one who's out in front dealing with customers, making your coffee or whatever. And you can, buy cakes and do a takeout, or you can eat cakes there. It's fantastic. It's very inexpensive. And so the wife is the one I always see, right? Because I'm there ordering, and I always sit there and eat the cakes. I don't like to do a takeout. I don't know. There's something about, the atmosphere of the place. You sit down, you maybe talk to the owner a little bit. Maybe someone else is there. And yeah, so she's worried because when I go there, I get the triple cake set, which is 3 pieces of cake and then either a coffee or a tea. And they make the coffee and tea even that's from scratch. They don't buy already made tea or tea packets. No, they actually have tea leaves and they brew the tea. And same with coffee, they grind their own beans. And so it's it's one of these places where they're really concerned about the quality and the taste, which is, that's matches my vibe completely. So, so the wife is always worried that I'm eating too much cake. She always says, "Are you sure you're going to have a triple set again, 3 pieces of cake?" And these pieces are pretty tiny, they're pretty tiny. So. Sorry, I'm just moving my arm I had a message on my phone. They're pretty tiny compared to the cake we used to eat in America. My God, when I was growing up, I lived with my dad and my older brother, and my dad's a fantastic cook. Fantastic cook. There's not a thing he cannot make. And he would make these big 2-layer cakes all the time. a 2-layer cake, like a proper, like huge, 2-layer cake. And he would cut it into 3 pieces. Imagine a whole 2-layer cake and someone cuts it into 3 pieces. And then he would say, well, that's yours, and that's mine. So that's the kind of, amount we were eating. Of course, maybe that's how I got to be, I'm like 6 feet 4 inches, right? Which is 190 centimeters, and I weigh about 250 pounds. Even now, I'm a little light. And I weigh 250 pounds. Got that way from eating cake. Anyway, so she's worried about me eating this cake all the time, and I laugh and I say, boy, if you knew how much cake I ate when I was a kid, this would be nothing. This is like just an appetizer, an appetizer. So fantastic cake shop. And this guy, oh yeah, his chocolates, he makes everything from scratch. Even the brandy that he puts in the chocolate covered cherries, he makes that from scratch himself. The Storen, the German Christmas cake, all the dried fruits, yeah, he buys all the fruits, he dries them himself. Even that, I think he has some kind of brandy or something he puts in with the dried fruits. He makes everything from scratch, everything. So this guy is just an amazing, amazing pastry chef. So I'm very lucky to know him. So let's see. Oh, and Valentine's Day. So yeah, my father-in-law kind of struck out all those years for Valentine's Day. He was actually a very passionate guy, a very romantic guy, and his wife was just my mother-in-law. She's completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. You never know what she's thinking, Never shows emotion, hardly ever, And then so in Japan, these chocolate companies, okay, this is what they did. They took Valentine's Day from America. Now on Valentine's Day in America, men can give women something, women can give men something, you can give your kids something, your friends something. That's one day where we just exchange whatever, right? Now my image of Valentine's Day is from like 20 some years ago when I left America. And I remember how it was growing up in America and going to school. It was pretty awesome, right? There was nothing about, there was no one getting triggered. There was no one complaining that it didn't fit in with their religious beliefs. It was just a day to, be nice and exchange something with people. Sorry about that. I had to stop and cough a second. So Valentine's Day was just a fun day to, exchange something with someone you liked. So in Japan, the chocolate companies, they glommed onto that after World War II. Well, probably closer to the 60s, because the economy, Japan was actually a, what would you call it? I can't remember the word in English. In Japanese, it'd be shokuminchi. Colony, almost like a colony of Japan, right? After the colony of America. Japan was like a colony of America after the war, and then around the early 1950s, I believe it was, 52 maybe? I can't remember exactly the year. But then they turned it over and said, okay, Japan, you can run things on your own. And, things were still really rough then. Probably by the 60s, I think, is when this idea of Valentine's Day, people started to have money, and chocolate companies wanted to sell more. So they adopted Valentine's Day. Bam, they advertised like crazy. But they took it a step further than we did in America. So Valentine's Day in Japan is when women give men chocolates or some gift. And then what about men giving women something? Well, they do that March 14th. They call it White Day. March 14th is White Day. And on that day, all of the men who receive chocolates or a gift from a woman have to give a gift back to that woman. And it doesn't stop there. The gift that the men give back has to be twice what they received. So, of course, these companies, they make it to where if a woman buys you chocolate, she gives it to you, somewhere on the package, the price is printed. You can't take it off. It's just there, And if it's not on the package, it's your job as a man to go out and find, where did she get this? How much did she spend? And then you have to give her a gift of double the value. That's White Day. So my father-in-law is talking about, his wife complained about him saying, I love you. And, he gave her some chocolates, made breakfast. And she didn't seem very happy. And then he said, yeah, she'll probably, on March 14th, which is White Day, buy him a box of giri chako. And this giri in Japanese means obligation, right? So this giri chako means you're obligated to give someone chocolate. You don't want to, but you're obligated to give it to them. Isn't that funny? They actually have a word. They actually say that, giri chako. Like, yeah, I didn't want to get you this, but you got me something, so I have to give you something back. See, because my father-in-law, so the wife's supposed to give him chocolates, right? But he's a guy, he's like he was an international guy, I remember him asking me like, hey, what's Valentine's Day? And I said, oh, that's the day when everybody does it. Everybody gives chocolate. He goes, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to follow this Valentine's Day, White Day thing. So he always gave his wife a gift on Valentine's Day. And then even though White Day, men are supposed to give a gift, then his wife would be forced out of obligation in her mind to give him something back. So that's what he was talking about, She wouldn't feel comfortable until she could, a month later give him something back to kind of clear the slate between them, which is a strange thing when you think about it, if you're looking at this from an American or European perspective, right? I mean, it's your wife, who cares, You don't expect something back. You do something nice, you do it because you love the person, not because you're expecting to get something back. Okay, let's see, was there something else I wanted to? Oh yeah, talking about my sister-in-law. Oh boy, don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, huh? Okay, so yeah, that was the email there. I thought you might kind of enjoy knowing the backstory on some of that a little bit. Okay, so that was Chapter 1, Email 5. Email 5, I just want to check my notes. Chapter 1, Email 5 from my Emails from a Ninja book. Okay, you guys, take care, and I will see you in the next video.